Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to the course Nutrition for the Family. This is the sixth module, and in this module, we shall be focusing on the nutritional care during infancy. And in this first lecture of this module, we shall be focusing on the physiological changes and nutritional requirements during infancy. I am Dr. Jaspreet Kaur, presently working as Associate Professor in Government College for Girls, Ludhiana, Punjab, affiliated to Punjab University, Chandigarh. And this project is funded by DTH Swayam Prabha, MHRD, New Delhi. In this lecture, we shall be studying about what are the important physiological changes that occur during infancy, and then we will see how we monitor the growth of the infant, and lastly we shall study about the nutritional requirements during infancy. After fetal period, the infancy is period of rapid growth. And during the first year of the life, infant grows and develops far more rapidly than any other time of his life. And the newborn child is completely dependent upon his mother for first few months of his life. The growth and development in the first year of an infant, it is an extremely pleasant experience for the child and the parents, and it is accompanied by a number of important physiological changes. So let us study what are these important physiological changes. The first change what infant shows, that is increase in the body size. The body weight of the infant at birth, it is doubled at around 4 to 5 months of his life, and within a year it becomes 3 times of his birth weight. And similarly, there is increase in the length of the infant from say 50 centimeters at the time of birth to 75 centimeters within a year. That is, by his first birthday, the child will become 1.5 times longer than what he was at the time of birth. What happens to the body composition? The weight gain, what we have just seen previously, it comprises of growth in the muscle and organ tissue, along with the adipose tissue and skeletal structure also that grows. So the infant at birth, he as high as 75% of water in his body, and he possesses 12 to 15% of fat, and along with that he has poorly developed muscles. By the end of first year, the water content decreases to 60%, but there is tremendous increase in the absolute amount of water. And with such high amount of water, that makes the infant more prone to water loss. And in certain conditions where there is some infection, and the child is suffering from diarrhea or vomiting, these conditions they lead to dehydration, and hence more care is needed, as it may can prove fatal also. So there is increase in the fat content of the body, and proportionately decrease in the lean body mass will occur. And along with that, there will be mineralization of the skeletal system that also takes place very rapidly during this period, and it continues throughout the childhood. The first year of life is also a period of significant development of the motor skills. The newborn at birth, he is unable to hold his head erect, but by he reaches his first birthday, he is not only able to sit properly, to stand, but also he is able to walk on his own. And the development of skeletal system as well as the muscle system that contributes to the acquisition of these motor skills. So there are six important milestones of motor development which are considered important for the growth and development of the child. The first one is sitting without support, and then standing with the assistance, and then hands and knees they are used to crawl, and after that the child is able to stand alone, and then he is able to walk with the assistance, and finally he is able to walk alone. The feeding behavior of the infant, it also modifies and changes because there are changes in the nervous system, particularly the one which are controlling the muscular coordination. When the baby is born at birth, he is able to coordinate three things, that is sucking, then swallowing the milk, and breathing. So he is coordinating just three things. And although his eyes they cannot focus on, but he is able to find the nourishment by a special reflex. We call it rooting reflex. And till about 3 months, the baby suckles with the up and down movement of the tongue. But if we put a solid food over his tongue, these movements, that is up and down movements, they will push the food out. The baby will not be able to take the food inside, and we call this reflex as extrusion reflex. But by the 3-4 months of the baby's age, the tongue movements they start changing, and the child is able to swallow. And by 6 months, the chewing movement also develops. That is why it is recommended to start the complementary feeding after the 6 months of the baby. The brain develops rapidly during the fetal life, during infancy, and during early childhood. The increases in the number of brain cells, it is most rapid during the fetal life and during the first 5 to 6 months of baby's life. So thereafter the rate of the cell division, it will start declining, though it will continue till say around 2 years of baby's life. So it is very important to mention here the malnutrition of any kind during this period. It will severely affect the brain development because the number of cells that is increasing at this phase, and this may lead to mental retardation also. If the malnutrition is severe during this period, the number of brain cells they are greatly reduced, and once this critical period of cell division has passed, so adequate diet in the later life, it will never be able to bring any increase in the cell numbers later. So that is why nutrition during the fetal life and the early infancy, it is very, very important for the development of brain. Let us talk about gastrointestinal system of the infant. The full-term infant is able to digest proteins, emulsified fats, and simple carbohydrates such as lactose. So during first few months, the gastric acidity that is also low, and the production of starch splitting enzymes, that means the enzymes which are going to digest the carbohydrates, they are not satisfactory. So as a result, what happens? The baby's ability to digest the complex food that is compromised. As the child grows, the digestive ability will improve, and as 1 year old child, he is able to digest all types of foods. During the early months of the life, the filtration rate of the kidneys it is low, and the child finds it difficult to excrete a high concentration of solutes. For example, if we are giving him some thick liquids or some kind of top feed is given. However, by the end of first year of his life, the functional capacity of the kidney that will be fully developed. Although all the growth and developmental changes they are of significance, but satisfactory growth in infancy it can be judged by the regular weight gain by the infant. This is the most accurate and sensitive method of assessing growth, and it can be done by the growth monitoring process. Now, growth monitoring, it is a regular measurement of the growth of the child, which enables the mother to visualize whether the child is growing well. And she can always seek relevant and practical guidance to ensure the regular growth and the health of the child. The growth monitoring, it is done with the help of growth charts, and we can go for growth charts by using weight for age, or we can calculate weight for height, or along with that we can always see the BMI, that is body mass index for age index also. So the growth charts they are based on many parameters, and we are using many standards. Some of them are NCHS standards, they are international standards, and then along with that we do have some region specific World Health Organization charts also, and then we can always use our Indian IAP charts. And as per the standard which we have chosen, there are separate growth charts for girls and boys, as they have different weights and lengths beginning at their birth, and they grow to different sizes related to their age. These growth charts they are used to identify the normal growth for a given child, as well as if we wish to see any growth faltering or any trends in the growth of the child. So all these things they suggest that the child is at risk of malnutrition, or this will help us in going for early prevention and action also. So they monitor the growth from infancy up to 5 years or up to 2 years, depending upon the available or used standards. And usually the weight for age charts they are used to monitor the growth of children. They are the commonly used charts, and in order to visually distinguish between the growth charts, the boys and girls, the border is colored differently. The pink border growth charts they are for girls, and blue border charts they are for boys. And each growth chart it has two axes. The horizontal line at the bottom of chart is known as x-axis, and this is for recording of the age of the child, and this can be up to 2 years or 5 years depending upon the chart used. We also call it month axis. The x-axis is also known as month axis, and the vertical line which is at the left of the chart, this is known as y-axis. This is for recording the weight of the child from the birth onwards, and it is also known as weight axis. So as we can see in this table, the month axis of each growth chart has different boxes which represents the month and year, and each box contains 12 small squares representing the 12 months, and each small square is equal to 1 month, and axis represents 1 month. And similarly on the weight axis, The lines, they are marked for recording the weight in kilograms and grams. And each thick line, which is extended line, it is representing 1 kilogram, and each line extending from the small square, it represents the 500 grams, and very thin lines, they represent 100 grams of weight for proper recording. Now let's understand the steps for the growth monitoring. The first step would be determining the correct age of the child, that is how many exact months the child has completed. And if the child is say 9 months old, 9.5 months old, we will use the 9-month indication on the x-axis of the table. And the step 2 will be to determine the correct weight of the child, how many kilograms the child is weighing at his particular age. And then we will plot this weight against the growth chart which we are using, which is different for male and females. And lastly, we will interpret the direction of the growth curve, where uh, we will be ascertaining whether the child is growing well or not. So let us try and understand this with the help of this one growth chart. This is a chart which shows weight for age for the boys, and this is from birth to 2 years, given by World Health Organization. As we can see in this chart, right after birth, this is showing the age in months, and after 1 year, now we can see this is in the middle of the table, and after that, in the left or the side, that is the y-axis, what we can see, this is the weight. So for example, let us see how we are going to plot it. For example, the child is 9 months of age, and this is the point where we will be focusing on. And say the child is weighing 8 kgs. So we will move here, and we will reach the point that is here. And then we will match these two points. And this point of intersection, this is what we need. So this is what we have plotted. So this will indicate that the present status of the weight of the child. And say now we'll be monitoring his growth once the baby is 1 year old, and we will see what is his weight. And for example, the weight is 9 kgs. So it will be this way. So once we are monitoring the growth, we will see the curve. If the baby is gaining weight, that means he is growing well. On each growth chart, there are certain pre-printed curved lines, as we can see in this chart also. They help us in interpreting the growth status of the child. The line which is labeled O, or the 0, it represents the median. That means 50% of the infants, they fall under this category. And the lines, they are given either in the negative side, that is -2, -3, and on the positive side we can see +2 and +3. So we can estimate the growth of the child by plotting his weight status on the basis of the given range of weight and his age. And along with that, we'll be able to ascertain where the child is actually following in. Say if the weight that falls under this category, anywhere between 0 to 2, that is a healthy range. But if the child is following, say, in between 2 to 3 years of category, that means the child is not growing well. And along with that, it is not only important to consider the absolute weight of the child, because each child has its own growth pattern. So it is more important to follow, even if the curve of the growth of the child is following below normal. say he's showing weight gain a year, or he's moving certain somewhat lower than the normal people, but as long as he's going upwards, and it should be considered as a good sign. Generally, an infant depends completely on mother's milk for first few months, and thus the adequate nutrition is essential for the lactating mother, as we have already discussed in the previous slides. If the adequate nutrition it is maintained during the lactation, there will be proper milk production, and not only in the form of quantity, but also the quality of milk will be very good. So the mother's milk, it contains all the nutrients which are particularly rich in vitamins and minerals, and in the adequate amounts which will be able to meet the needs of the child. The calorie intake by the infant, it is based on the energy intake of the normally growing infants on the breast milk. So these energy requirements, they are estimated by taking into consideration two factors. That is, first thing is the total energy expenditure on the weight of the baby, and along with that, additional amount of energy which will be deposited in the tissues during the growth. As we have just studied that the growth is very fast during the infancy. The quantity of breast milk which is needed to meet these levels of energy would be around 850 ml, and up to 3 months of age it is sufficient. But after that, the baby needs around 1200 ml of milk for 3 to 6 months of his age. And energy requirements of the infants, they are higher than the adults per unit body weight. And the calorie needs in the first 4 to 6 months, they are met by exclusive breast milk only. And afterward, up till 1 year, 70% of the calories, they are met by the mother's milk, and the rest of the calories, say around 30% of the calories, they can be supplied by the supplementary foods. As the calorie intake of the baby, it is higher during the first half of the year when the growth is very rapid. So the breast milk should supply 50 to 60% of energy in the form of fat. So if the mother is unable to feed the baby in some way, or the baby is dependent upon some milk substitutes, they should be proportionately high in fat to meet the high energy requirements. The Indian Council of Medical Research, it recommends that the EAR, estimated average requirement for an infant of 0 to 6 months, is around 550 kilocalories on an average, and for 6 to 12 months it should be around 680 kilocalories. As this is a table which shows different values for boys and girls when it comes to calories, and they are calculated on the basis of total energy expenditure by the infant, and along with that, energy deposition as the baby is growing. So on the basis of these two factors, daily energy requirements, they are recommended for boys for 0 to 12 months, and for girls 0 to 12 months. Just like calories, the infant's protein requirements, they are also high per kilogram of body weight when we compare it to the adults. Now this is due to increased demands for the skeletal and muscle growth. The Indian Council of Medical Research has recommended that during the first 6 months of the life, an EAR of 7 gram of protein and recommended dietary allowance of 8 gram of protein daily is recommended. And for the later part of their year, that is for 6 to 12 months, the EAR of 9 grams and an RDA of 10.5 grams daily is recommended. And for these infants, the tolerable upper limit is set at that it should not provide more than 15% calories 50% utilized. But excess protein, it is harmful as the infant finds it difficult to get rid of extra uh, amount of protein. This is of concern in infants who are being fed on other sources of milk, and they are not exclusively breastfed. Since the infant, he has the limited capacity to concentrate the waste metabolites, so urea, it will start collecting inside the body. And if the child has to get rid of this urea, he needs more volume of water. And if the necessary water it is not available, say the formula or the milk is thick, so the urea it will be accumulated and the infant he will be suffering from edema. And high rate of infection, it is also common in the children who are fed on the, say, cow's milk or some other supplements, because the mechanism which is related to the formation of antibodies to protect the infection, that is lacking in other type of milk. During fetal and infant development, during the early phases of his life, there is accumulation of arachidonic acid and docosahexaenoic acid, that is AA and DHA, for the development of infant brain and for meeting the demands of growing body and for the retina also. Now, mother's milk, it provides around 3 to 4% fat by weight, and it delivers 50 to 60% of energy through the fat. And the infant receives all the polyunsaturated fatty acids through the breast milk only. Now, mother's milk, it is unique, and as it provides both arachidonic acid and docosahexaenoic acid in addition to other fatty acids. This DHA, it is considered conditionally essential during the early human development, as there is huge variation in conversion of ALA to DHA from inside. So therefore, it is considered essential for the infants. But mother's milk is able to meet the needs of the infant. The human milk substitutes and the infant formulas, they should have fat and individual fatty acid of AA and DHA similar to the level of human milk, so that the child is able to achieve the recommended uh, amount of these fatty acids. And along with that, the preterm infants, they have high requirement of these two fatty acids, that is arachidonic acid and docosahexaenoic acid, to allow rapid brain and body growth. So during the first 6 months of the life, the minimum level of total fat, it should be derived from the breast milk only. And during 6 to 12 months of the baby's age, the fat intake should be 35% of the energy, depending upon the physical activity of the child from 6 months to 2 years of his age. And it is provided by the breast milk or the other type of milk along with complementary feeding. And for these children, linoleic acid, LA, that is very important essential fatty acid. Both cow's milk and the mother's milk, they satisfy the requirements of all the essential fatty acids. But the situation where the intake of breast milk is low, or due to any kind of reason, the level of fat and especially the fatty acids such as which contains LA, ALA, AA and DHA in the complementary food, we should give due attention. It has to be increased because the mother's milk was meeting the needs of the child otherwise. So the essential fatty requirement for the young children is 3% of the energy, and which can be satisfied by providing 25 gram of visible fat in the baby's diet. The level of visible fat, it will contribute to provide the energy density, and it will reduce the volume because the baby will not be able to eat that much of amount, and it will reduce the bulkiness in the child's diet, and it will prevent the chronic energy deficiency also. And along with that, we have already understood about the essential fatty acids which will be provided by the diet, that is complementary feeding and mother's milk. So let us consolidate this thing. The minimum level of total fat should be providing 35% of energy, and minimum level of fat coming from the foods other than visible sources, that is the hidden amount of fat, it should provide minimum 10% of energy, and visible fat should be around 25 grams per day. For the carbohydrates, as we know, the infant below 6 months is depending solely on mother's milk for the carbohydrate, which contains lactose only. So considering the milk intake of 700 milliliters for the first 6 months of baby's life, an adequate intake of 55 gram of carbohydrates is suggested by Indian Council of Medical Research. And for 6 to 12 months, as the baby is taking human milk also, that is mother's milk, and along with that he is taking complementary food also, so the recommendation is 95 grams of carbohydrate daily. Let's summarize what we have studied in this lecture. We had studied about what are the various physiological changes which occur during infancy. Then we studied how we do the growth monitoring of the infant and see whether the child is growing well. And then lastly, we studied about macronutrient requirements during infancy. And in the next lecture, we shall be continuing about the micronutrient requirements and the food requirements during infancy.